Welcome back to On the Quayside. Today we venture into the world of oil and gas, where our next guest has been active since the early 2000s. Belinda Williams joined Schlumberger in 2002 in their accounts department and says she was inspired by the challenging oil and gas environment. Before leaving the company in 2013, Belinda had established herself as the senior sourcing and procurement specialist in South Africa. Moving on, she joined the South African Oil and Gas Alliance in August of 2013, where she was tasked with strategic planning, building stakeholder relationships, project management, as well as developing funding proposals to help the alliance meet its mandate to its members. It is here that, through her interaction with members and industry stakeholders, Belinda cemented her belief in the potential of the sector. Keen for a new challenge, Belinda left Seoga almost exactly a year ago and joined the newly established Akhona Oil and Gas Services as their Chief Executive Officer. She believes that even though the South African oil and gas sector may not be mature in terms of proven reserves in hydrocarbon production, the country has the products and services to support this market in upstream oil and gas. Navigating the current crisis amidst low oil prices must surely have been quite a challenge for you and your team at Akhona. How have you managed to reshape your business development since 2019 and stay in the game?
Colleen, building a business from scratch and starting a new business, especially in today's world and particularly in oil and gas, I believe it involves a lot of face-to-face interaction, certainly at the beginning. I firmly believe in forging relationships through contact, and COVID-19 has certainly restricted that contact, I think, for all of us. So, along with the rest of the world, we've obviously needed to reshape our thinking and get creative. I remember in April, the declining consumer demand and high levels of production output were threatening to exceed oil storage capacities. And this resulted in the lowest ever oil prices noted in April. And it was really a nerve-wracking time for me because our business was sort of on the cusp of a breakthrough and we were starting to do really well. And all of a sudden, my cell phone was ringing and, I got nothing but negativity. So everything seemed to be going downhill fast. But then again, it seemed that way with the rest of the world. So I think we've just had to re-strategize and change how we do things, change the contact, which was really my passion, because connecting with people and seeing people in the business was one of the things that I do best and one of the things that I firmly believe in. So I guess we had to go with the digital flow.
And have you managed to do that? Has it been a successful strategy for you?
We have. I find myself seeing more people now on Zoom or on Teams than I would have ordinarily, or there's actually, if I can say, an advantage to it because I'm spending less time in my car.
That's true, but then you're not using the oil that we need.
True.
So, it's now 5 months down the line from April when we started lockdown, and I think possibly the arrival of the Total oil rig to begin drilling off the coast in the Brulpadda development. Do you feel that this, alongside the minister's renewal to finalise the Mineral Resources Act, signifies some hope for the sector in South Africa or not?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. So it's encouraging to see Total moving forward to the next phase of their drilling program. Obviously, as Akhona Oil and Gas Services, which is 100% locally owned, we are ready to provide services to Total or anyone else for that matter, particularly Total as they progress from exploration phase through to production. We obviously remain hopeful that the Minister will intensify his engagements on the bill, particularly with the relevant stakeholders, to ensure that it's passed by Parliament. But I'm a bit concerned that there might be a delay due to the restructuring on the National Oil Company within DMRE. I trust, though, that the bill and subsequent regulations thereof will be clear on local content requirements, because that obviously influences companies like Akhona and all other companies. I'm talking South African companies now, because I still believe that South African companies have all the services we need to support this operation. I mean, we've got a free port in the Saldanha by IDZ. That's a huge advantage.
Indeed. And you've obviously had a lot of contact with those companies over the years, both at Sayoga as well as your previously at Schlumberger. So you're well aware.
It's really small in South Africa. So yes, I have.
And in terms of those companies and that interaction, what do you think are the current major challenges that they are still facing?
Well, I think definitely the delayed announcement on what the bill would look like. If that is unclear, it kind of means that the larger companies and certainly the foreign companies are not forced to do more for entrepreneurs like Akhona, even new entrants into the market. All of these companies who make up local content. Having said that, I think the Total drill with this coming up now in this phase, I do believe that smaller companies will benefit, but I still think that more can be done to ensure that this happens. And then, I mean, I could sit here all day and tell you about challenges, but I don't want to be negative, because the mere fact that we have a giant like Total drilling in our backyard is amazing. We also have challenges within the ports. You know, historically, ports environments are logistics focused and not really repairs, maintenance, and servicing. And the nature of the oil and gas industry is cyclical and project based. And this makes it difficult for small companies like myself to commit to a long-term lease in the port, for example, with expensive rentals. I also think that new entrants to the market, we cannot yet prove long-term business sustainability. But the flip side of that is, and historically, oil and gas projects have shown that more employment opportunities are generated and created within the sector. And I believe that that contributes substantially to the economy.
So you are still remain upbeat despite the devastating start to the year. You're 1 year into your new challenge, but you're still smiling, and that's a good sign.
You know, Colleen, if you had asked me this question when lockdown started, I would have had a very different answer for you, because I came off an absolute high. I had traveled right before lockdown. And then when I got back, standard company policy with COVID becoming such a reality in March was that anyone who travels has to stay at home and self-isolate for 2 weeks. So I was happily self-isolating for 2 weeks, and then boom, lockdown happened, and I was in limbo, I'm sure, like everyone else was, and I've not been back to the office. Yeah. So yes, I mean, if you had to ask me the question back then, I would have probably been a lot more negative, but I firmly believe that there is hope for us yet.
And you were saying to me a little bit earlier in terms of how you see yourself within the industry and the legacy you want to leave. Care to explain a bit more about that?
Well, you know, I've been in this industry for a while, and I firmly believe in what I am selling. And when I say that, I'm talking about from when I started in this industry right up until now. I have a firm belief in South Africa and what we can offer, particularly in the services sector. I have worked the job, if you understand what I mean. I've been exposed to almost all the services that we have. And I believe that we have a local solution for any foreign company who wants to work in South Africa. All they need to do is look around. And if I can continually punt this, I will certainly do that. And in terms of a legacy, you know, I want people to say in 5 years' time or so that this lady started out brand new in a company and look at what she's done thus far in terms of taking other women along with her. I want to elevate women in this industry because I believe that we have a lot to offer.
And you're still seeing there's still not many women in the oil and gas. I mean, I think it's probably even less than in the maritime in general. Or is that inaccurate?
You know, I don't agree with you there. I have been seeing a lot of amazing women throughout my tenure in oil and gas. And lately, especially during lockdown, I've been in many of these women-run and women-led webinars, and I belong to two different organizations that is based, just female-based and women-based. And there are some amazing women out there. I wish I could just turn the spotlight on all of them.
That's awesome to know. And just with that in mind, what sort of advice would you give someone, an entrepreneur looking to get into this space? I mean, we've had possibly some retrenchments in the industry and maybe people looking to start their own companies going forward. What would you say to them?
Well, you know, yes, I have to agree with you. I don't know anybody who was not negatively impacted by COVID, and obviously we speak to one another. I would say if you really have a dream, get started. Be prepared to do the time and start somewhere. You know, if you're planning something, you've got to start. You cannot procrastinate, and you cannot put things off. And then if and when your company grows, and this is really important to me, when it comes to hiring people, hire for character and values. Because I firmly believe you can train anyone on skills, but you can't make someone's values fit into your company.
That's valuable advice, indeed.
My advice, yeah.
And looking ahead to the end of the year, I mean, we're already in August, so we're almost at year end. What sort of goals are still left on the table for you and your team at Akhona?
Well, look, for me personally, it's to secure the one contract that I have been chasing for a few months. I don't want to say too much about it. Suffice to say that it's not an opportunity that is up for grabs. It's a solution that we've kind of tailor-made, and I'm keen to pursue that. And so my goal is to secure that.
Well, that sounds fascinating, and I hope we can have you at the end of the year to tell us what that actually is, and that it was secured and rubber
Yes,
stamped.
I hope so too.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Belinda. It's been great, and it's good to see that you're in high spirits and positive about the developments going forward. We wish you luck, and we will catch up with you at the end of the year.
Oh, good. It spurs me on, and it encourages me to pursue what I set out to do. So thanks.
Excellent.